Hello. Welcome to the Santa Anita Church on a Sunday morning service. Now, this is not our regular service. This is a condensed version so that while you're home, I can't say enjoying the pandemic, but while you're home with your family or alone, you can enjoy a little peace and quiet and some good thoughts. So I'm going to tell you what we're going to have this morning, and then we're going to go into it, and then we will be back. It's good to have you here. You might want to get a pencil and paper handy for when you're home listening to these, because very often we come out with things that you're going to want to copy down. Guides for living, special words to give you something to think about. So do that. For instance, our first inspirational reading this morning is from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. And it says, "Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres." And our second reading is from the Holmes Reader on Practical Wisdom by Ernest Holmes on page 61. And Ernest Holmes wrote, "Compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in the unified attempt to uncover the divinity in each other. Compassion is the most gentle of all human virtues, for it is the outpouring of the divine givingness through all." And may we be blessed with a clearer understanding of these words.
Every life has a plan, though sometimes the map is out of our hands. Every day is a step, though we may not know the reasons just yet. When your faith fails, when your dreams leave, learn to let go, just let it be. Let there be love, let there be light, let there be hope in the dark of the night. For every heart that's lying in wait, let there be love, let there be love. You are strong, you are brave. No, I couldn't even count all the ways. There's a time to be still and let the river carry you where it will. When your faith fails, when your dreams leave, learn to let go, just let it be. Let there be love, let there be light, let there be hope in the dark of the night. For every heart that's lying in wait, let there be love. It's a long, hard road to travel. Yes, I know what it's like when you lose your way, when the best laid plans unravel. That's when you've got to believe. Let there be love, let there be light, let there be hope in the dark of the night. For every heart that's lying in wait, let there be love, let there be love, let there be light, let there be hope in the dark of the night. For every heart that's lying in wait, let there be love, let there be love.
What would I love? That's our theme question for this month. And each week we have focused on the idea of living a life we love and loving the life we live. We've done this in a variety of ways, and today, this last day of our series, we're going to let love shine forth. Because as we let love shine forth, we not only experience a life we love living, but we attune our hearts to the divine heart and feel God's never-ceasing love in, through, as, and around us. There's a wonderful song called May I Suggest, and I'd like to read you some of the words of it today. It says, may I suggest to you, may I suggest this is the best part of your life. May I suggest this time is blessed for you. This time is blessed and shining almost blinding bright. Just turn your head, and you'll begin to see the 1,000 reasons you were just beyond your sight. The reasons why. Why I suggest to you, why I suggest this is the best part of your life. I love this line. This time is blessed and shining almost blindingly bright. How perfect for our theme today, and most definitely true when we let love shine forth. So I want to spend some time together today looking at 3 ways we can let love shine forth and giving you a brief example of someone doing this in the most unlikely place. And ending with an incredible writing from Ken Wilber, a modern-day philosopher and mystic, that deeply moved me and is a perfect way to end our morning of letting love shine forth and our month of loving life. Charles Fillmore, in Talks on Truth on page 64, wrote, love is in the world in a diluted form, as affections between husband and wife, parents and children, friend and friend. But it can be made manifest in its original strength and purity by each man and woman's opening the fountainhead and letting its mighty currents stream forth. I love the idea behind that quote, that love can be made manifest in this world in its original strength and purity when we open the fountainhead and let its mighty currents stream forth. But that idea begs a question, doesn't it? How, in fact, do we open the fountainhead? What does that even mean? Well, we probably all have different perceptions of and answers to that question. And some would say it takes a lifetime of spiritual practice for us to do that. Others would say we have to have a personal, mystical experience of testing God's love before we can do that. And yet others might say we have to reach spiritual enlightenment before we can do that. And those who say these things may be correct. They're correct for themselves if they believe in those ways. But I want to suggest it is something you can do today, right here and right now. I want to suggest 3 tangible, practical ways to open the fountainhead and let the purity and strength of God's mighty love flow forth from you, or to let love shine forth. These 3 ways were found in an article in the February 2014 Science of Mind magazine called Reviving the Heart of Humanity with a New CPR by religious science minister and author Dennis Merritt Jones. Starting at page 22, this is where he really inspired me. He wrote, Mending the Heart of Humanity For our content, we could say, opening the fountainhead. Sounds like a daunting task, but if we are willing to be proactive and act mindfully rather than react mindlessly or hopelessly, it can be revived. We must each become experts at administering spiritual CPR to every person with whom we cross paths on a daily basis. And this includes our face-to-face encounters, both intentional and by chance, as well as the countless people we may connect with via the internet or see on television while watching the world news. Distance does not matter because we all share the same name, human beings. We all share the same heart. And I want to suggest that when he says we must each become experts at administering spiritual CPR to every person with whom we cross paths on a daily basis, we must include ourselves in this mix. So here is the CPR. The C, compassion. So what exactly is compassion? I like Dennis Merritt Jones' definition. Compassion is the capacity to imagine what it must feel like to live in another person's skin and take appropriate action to help alleviate suffering when possible. That's a good definition, and one that I believe is innate in all life. There was an amazing scientific study done in Canada to see if rats had empathy and compassion for one another. And my friends, they do. In this study, some of the rats were caged and others were in a very large enclosure, basically free. Researchers watched what the free rats did for a month's time and found that they kept liberating the caged rats. They figured out how to open the latch and kept letting them out over an entire month when the researchers had said, ruled out simply, which the researchers said ruled out simple curiosity as a motivation. What's more, the freed rats would liberate the caged rats even when the trapped animals exited into a separate cage, which showed that the free rat wasn't simply seeking the reward of schmoozing with his friend. The free rat also freed the caged rats even when they had the option of bumping open an identical container and obtaining 5 chocolate chips for themselves, which showed that their motivation to help was greater than their desire for a tasty snack. Now, this was in the news.sciencemag.org/Science Now, 2011, January 12th. Rats feel each other's pain, HTML. Now, I know you wanted that last part, and you're going to say, what was he talking about? But that is the quote if you want to find it. And look for rats feel each other's pain for a beginner. If that quality is innate in rats, then it must be innate in us as well. I love Ernest Holmes' take on it. In the Holmes Reader, he said, and we've had this already because I want you to remember it, compassion and caring are the ties that bind us together in mutual understanding and in a unified attempt to uncover the divinity in each other. Compassion is the most gentle of all human virtues, for it is the outpouring of the divine givingness through all. There's a beautiful, true story of the power of compassion. One day, and I'm emphasizing again, this is a true story. One day, a poor boy who was selling goods from door to door to pay his way through school found he only had one thin dime left. He was hungry. He decided he would ask for a meal at the next house rather than try to sell his goods. However, he lost his nerve when a lovely young woman opened the door, and instead of a meal, he asked for a drink of water. She thought he looked hungry, so she brought him a large glass of milk. He drank it slowly and then asked, "How much do I owe you?" "You don't owe me anything," she replied. "Mother has taught us never to accept pay for kindness." He said, "Then I thank you from my heart." As Howard Kelly left that house, he not only felt stronger physically, but his faith in God and humanity was strong also. He had been ready to give up and quit, but now he was fortified. Years later, that same woman became critically ill. The local doctors were baffled. They finally sent her to the big city where they called in specialists to study her rare disease. Dr. Howard Kelly was called in for the consultation. When he heard the name of the town she came from, a strange light filled his eyes. Immediately he rose and went into the hall of the hospital to her room. Dressed in his doctor's gown, he went in to see her. Although she was older, he recognized her at once. He went back to the consultation room, determined to do his best to save her life. From that day forward, he gave special attention to the case, and after a long battle, the battle was won. Dr. Kelly requested that the business office pass the final bill to him for approval. He looked at it, then wrote something on the edge, and the bill was sent to her room. She feared to open it, for she was sure it would take the rest of her life to pay for it all. Finally, she looked, and something caught in her throat when she read these words: "Paid in full with a glass of milk." Signed, Dr. Howard Kelly. Isn't that a beautiful story of compassion? Too bad it's not entirely true. It's been embellished from the true story to tug at our heartstrings. And it did, didn't it? But so does the true story. Here is what is true according to his biography, written by Audrey Davis. And I quote it. On a walking trip up through northern Pennsylvania one spring, Kelly stopped by a small farmhouse for a drink of cool spring water. A little girl answered his knock and instead of water, brought him a glass of fresh milk. After a short, friendly visit, he went on his way, and some years later, that same girl came to him for an operation. Just before she left for home, her bill was brought into the room, and across its face was written in a bold hand, "Paid in full with one glass of milk." Dr. Kelly was never an impoverished student who had to sell door to door to put himself through medical school. Rather, he was the son of a well-to-do family. On the day described in the milk anecdote, he did not find himself with only one thin dime and was hungry. And there is no account that he decided he would ask for a meal at the next house rather than try to sell his goods. The Davis biography of Dr. Kelly contains no mention of the glass of milk girls being critically ill, of her local doctors being baffled, or of her being sent to Baltimore because she had fallen victim to a rare disease. In fact, nothing is said of her case to indicate that it was at all unusual or that her life was in any way in jeopardy, other than for Dr. Kelly's writing off her bill for that long ago glass of milk. Her case was not remarkable in the least. So why is the true story a story of compassion? Dr. Kelly, in his regular practice, charged significant fees for his work with patients who could afford it, but used those fees to underwrite medical care he provided free of charge to the less fortunate. By his conservative estimate, he neither sought nor received a fee in 75% of his cases. And for years, he paid the salary of a nurse to visit and care for those of his patients who could not otherwise afford such treatment, providing them with both a doctor and a nurse without charge. Now, I would say that is true, no frills, compassion. The next word we have is P, patience. Now to the P of our CPR. Henry Drew Drummond, in The Greatest Thing in the World, page 14, commented on the beautiful passage from 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 7, which you now may know, but we heard it earlier today, and I'm going to repeat it for you again now because it's one of those wonderful, wonderful sections of the Bible that allows you to elevate yourself and all around you by simply living. It says, love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy. Love is never boastful, nor conceited, nor rude. It is not self-seeking, nor easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongdoing. It does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, trusts, hopes, and preserves. In a word, there are three things that last forever: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of them all is love. About this, Drummond wrote, love is patient. This is the normal attitude of love. Love passive. Love waiting to begin, not in a hurry, calm, ready to do its work when the summons comes, but meantime, wearing the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit. Love suffers long, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, for love understands, and therefore waits. Opening the fountainhead occurs when we call on love, which is patiently waiting. We call on love by realizing and revealing the presence of God in the present moment. Oh, but how patient we can be. Waiting for a computer to turn on. Waiting for a light to change. Waiting for our partner to arrive when he or she is late. Waiting for our spiritual growth to show results in the world. Waiting for the world to become a better place. How impatient we can be. Dennis Merritt Jones writes, patience is the ability to breathe and be with what is in the moment, trusting that as we continue to mindfully mend our own thoughts one heart at a time, the collective heart of humanity is also mending. The practice is to be patient with ourselves and all others, remembering that it can take time to mend a broken heart, especially one that belongs to 7 billion human beings. And finally, R for reverence. To practice reverence is to look past the form and see the sacred presence of God in, as, and through all things. To practice reverence is to remember that there really is only one of us here. On page 299 of The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes wrote, "God in me is unified with God in all. I am one with all people, with all things, with all life. As I listen in the silence, this voice of all humanity speaks to me and answers the love that I hold out to it. I am one with life. I wait in the silence while the Great Spirit hears this message to the whole world." We don't open the fountainhead by forcing something or someone, even ourselves, to change. It actually comes from revering and loving what is. We open the fountainhead when we hold for ourselves and others the same awe and appreciation we feel when we look at something beautiful, like a mountain or an ocean. For each of us is beautiful in a profound way. In that Science of Mind magazine, Dennis Merritt Jones wrote, "Contained within the wisdom of this awareness lies the potential for the healing of the heart of humanity." How much we would like to heal the heart of humanity. How could we possibly conspire to do harm to another when we see ourselves and the living presence of the divine in that person? A brief real-life example of someone combining compassion, patience, and reverence, CPR, to let love shine forth from him is in this letter from a prison inmate named Leon Wright. Mr. Wright wrote, "I'm going to tell you something that I want you to always remember. I'm going to make you very proud of me. Somehow, I'm going to reach the hearts of every inmate in this place. At least I'm going to die trying. Like Martin Luther King Jr., that is my dream." Though Dr. King phrased it in his famous speech as a dream, he was really promoting leaving a better world in which everyone was equal and free. How was he able to do this? Simply put, he saw, felt, heard, smelled, lived, and breathed a different reality in his mind than most other people at that time. The power of his vision convinced millions of the justness of his cause. So on that same note, I see, feel, hear, smell, live, and breathe a different reality in my mind for the people that society has regarded as unchangeable. Please don't get me wrong. I do understand that society is not to blame. Most of us made the choice not to choose love over fear. But like I said to you before, I would like to apply for the job of showing these guys that love is the way to freedom. Leo has decided to do this by becoming a New Thought minister while he serves the remaining many years of his sentence. How might we be like Leo, giving C, compassion, P, patience, and R, reverence to the world? In this way, we open up our fountainhead and let love's mighty current stream from, as, around, and through us. And let us bring our time of letting love shine forth to a brief suspension point now as we read a poem by Ken Wilber. Dr. Wilber wrote, as Plotinus knew, let the world be quiet. Let the heavens and the earth and the seas be still. Let the world be waiting. Let the self-contraction relax into the empty ground of its own awareness, and let it there quietly die. See how Spirit pours through each and every opening and turmoil and bestows new splendor on the setting sun and its glorious earth and all its radiant inhabitants. See the cosmos dance in emptiness. See the play of light in all creatures great and small. See finite worlds sing and rejoice in the play of the very divine, floating on a glory that renders each transparent, flooded by a joy that refuses time or terror, that underdoes the madness of the loveless self and buries it in splendor. Indeed, let the self-contraction relax into the empty ground of its own awareness, and let it there quietly die. See the cosmos arise in its place, dancing madly and divine, self-luminous and self-liberating, intoxicated by a light that never dawns nor ceases. Let the ecstasy overflow and outshine the loveless self, and sing triumphantly with St. Catherine, my being is God, not by simple participation, but by a true transformation of my being. My me is God. And let the joy sing with Dame Julian, see, I am God. See, I am in all things. See, I do all things. And let the joy shout with the Zen master, this very body is the body of Buddha, and this very land, the Pure Land. And this earth becomes a blessed being, and every I becomes a God, and every we becomes God's sincere worship, and every it becomes God's most gracious temple. And I rise to taste the dawn and find that love alone will shine today. And the shining says to love it all and love it madly and always endlessly and ever fiercely, to love without choice and thus enter the all, to love it mindlessly and thus be the all, embracing the only and radiant divine, now as emptiness, now as form, together and forever, the godless search undone, and love alone will shine today. Love alone will shine today. Let this be your powerful prayer. Let this be your identity. Let you practice being what you are, God. Let us all practice being what we are, love, forgiveness, caring, peace. Let this love and caring and peace flow through us out and heal the world. Let us not give up the wonderful, wonderful presence of God in all we see and all we have and all we do. And let us grow in peace. Let us grow in love. Let us grow together. So let it be with you and with me, with all we know, with all that are around us. Let us say, so let it be. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. The sermon may have seemed a little long, but I think it had an awful lot of wonderfully good points in it, and I'd like you to live them. If you'd like, we can handprint on stationery of love a beautiful message for you. But let yourself be part of that love now. Let yourself grow with that love. Let yourself give through that love. As now we make for our life this affirmation of truth as we say, God, you are the source of all my good. With love and gratitude, I give my gift back to you. God, you are the source of all my good. With love and gratitude, I give my gift back to you. And so it is.
Let there be love on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be love on earth, the love that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let love begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in love eternally. Let there be love on earth, and let it begin with me.
I hope you paid attention to the sermon today, and I hope it helped you to change things in your life you'd like to see changed. I pray that it allows you to let go of the selfishness of you, to let go of those little human things that always say me first, and to move forth in love, and peace, and joy with all of the other people in this world. Come together in peace. Come together in love. Dismiss those lousy, dark clouds of anger and frustration, those red sunsets of anger. Let yourself live in the blue sky of gladness. If you are here in Southern California, you probably noticed we had some pretty spectacular days lately. Well, we're not done with those. And we're going to bless and receive and feel gratitude for every one of them as we share them with each other. For we know that as we are sharing all of the magnificence of this beautiful home, we are sharing the love that is between us and God. And because of that love, we share it with each other as we now say, may the light of God surround you, the love of God enfold you, the power of God protect you, and the presence of God look over you. Wherever you are, God is, and all is well.